You know that feeling that you get when everything from the outside looks pretty good, but on the inside, you are holding your breath. This is where I have been. This is what I am working through currently. And lately, what's not only been showing it for me, interestingly enough, but my clients, is that this invitation to be seen more, to receive, and actually let in support. However, it is not the easiest thing at times for people like myself who have learned that you have to do it all on your own. And I say that fully aware that we are never alone. There's always support out there. But when we grow up and our belief system is we can't let that support in because we don't know if it's going to be taken away or it's going to be reprimanded at some way, we will begin to do everything on our own. And it can drive people to do amazing things, and it can work in your favor to just be able to get it done because you know you can get it done. But what happens, what's really common is this burnout, this kind of hitting a wall, this not understanding why they do want the support and they want the loving husband or the partner, and their partner's asking them like, let me in, lean on me, share with me. And the bells and whistles and the red flags and the alarm bells in our subconscious are just going off. So we are going to explore in this episode what my process currently has been looking like in dropping all the balls, really getting intimate with where I am personally, and just my exploration. And a lot of this is also, like I said, coming up for my clients too this month. Like this whole theme of being seen, having someone come in and support you, like actually softening into that is such a topic in my world. So we're going to explore that today. Welcome to another episode of the Let Go Movement podcast. I am Akeisha. What happened after I posted my last personal solo episode here on the podcast? Just a quick update. Chilling in my beautiful friend's studio. This is so comfortable. Such a dream to have my own studio one day to create content. And the amazing Jazz and Seb of Awake Abroad Media, they're on vacation, so I'm using their studio, and I couldn't be more blessed, more grateful, more appreciative. So enjoy the background for the next few episodes. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, and share this episode. Would really appreciate it. And also in the comments, please let me know if you resonate with this topic of holding your breath, making sure it's all okay, running with your ideas because you don't know what to do next or you know what to do next. And it's just like this constant drive and this feeling of really wanting to open up to support, but you don't quite know how. So if you resonate with that topic, if any of those things ping you, share, let me know. Let's have a conversation below because I'd really like to just witness you, see you, share space with you, tell you, yeah, I get that. So I'm going to read, I've got my notes. I've got all my setup here. I'm chilling, relaxed. It's really warm. I just landed in Puerto Vallarta and I forgot how hot it gets in the summertime. Like I know it gets hot, but my body just for 9 months has not been accustomed to the humidity, and I have the dehumidifier on and I'm already sweating. So if I get a little wet on the face, if I get a little steamy, you know why. So yeah, this is a personal episode again, and it is for anyone who's navigating that tender edge between wanting to surrender but feeling scared to do so. I get it. When we talk about receiving and asking for support, and really that fear that's not fear at all, it's like it's an illusion of like dropping all the balls, and what it actually means to fall back in love with your life. So one of the really big things I've had to do with myself over the past couple weeks is get extremely honest, like radically honest. Honesty to like, oh, if I dare say that out loud, what does that mean of me as a person? What does that mean of me as a partner? What does that mean of me as a business owner? What does that mean of me as a coach, a facilitator? Like getting radically honest. And one of the things that I was really fortunate to do was my friend Jessica Graham's a 5-day journaling process. And I've entered into her rewritten program because I just loved how just looking at your story, looking at all those bits and pieces of you, journaling them, but being in a community and then sharing that and having it be seen really helped me see how I've really stayed away from my own personal story personally. Not even like let it out publicly, but I've really kind of put it at an arm's length personally, and what that can do and what that has done to connecting with my work through my story and how difficult it's been actually over the years. There is a quote that I absolutely love from Gary Douglas. You can lie to anyone, but you don't lie to yourself. And so when I talk about this like honesty thing, it's like I had to admit, and it like hit me like a ton of bricks when I admitted it on paper in a journaling process a couple weeks ago, but how much I have fallen out of creating my life over the last, I'm going to stretch it out and say a year and a half. So if you follow me on Instagram, if you know my backstory, like I left Canada, I moved to Mexico. We're in the process of making it work. And if anyone on here like understands what moving abroad is like for you, whether you've been retired or you're, the nomad or whatever, like it is a different way, is a different type of person to like go on this adventure of leaving your home zone and going through that whole process. And it is not cupcakes, rainbows, and butterflies. There are some extreme up and downs and some uncertainties with so many different elements, depending on what country you're in. And it was all such a beautiful creation. And then there became a point where the creation wasn't moving in the direction that I had envisioned. And it was becoming like harder and harder to just keep one foot in front of the other. And I noticed, I think it was New Year's 2024. I just remember being like, I don't want to do another hard year like this. Personally, I didn't like who I was in the mirror. I didn't like seeing who I was. I didn't like where my business was at. I was like all frazzled dazzled. And that's when I look back and I was like doing some writing, that's when I started falling out of love with the life I was creating. And you wouldn't necessarily know that because I know what to say outwardly, but inwardly it was a very different story. And I know I'm not the only one. So it even being letting you into this process is very like it makes me sweat extra. But I know I'm not the only one out there. Getting honest with that was like step one. So how do I fall back in love with the life I'm creating using the tools that I absolutely love, using the questions like what else is possible? How does it get better than this? Universe, show me, really being the magical creator that we all are and letting the energies of the universe really support you. And I didn't know, honestly, like the first week I sat with that. I was like, holy crap. Like it's like just not fun. That was just not a fun space to be in and to admit. And then as you be with that energy and you don't stew on it, but you just let it kind of move through you, you start to see some like shadows and some interesting thought patterns come up and you start to journal them out and, you start to let them go and ask for them to be blessed, and you ask for your life to be blessed. So I actually read this thing in Joe Dispenza's Supernatural book, and I want to read this to you. This is what really started shifting things for me to like a practice you can do to start finding that love and lust and joy in creating your life, because life doesn't show up perfect. Like it doesn't. It shows up in all sorts of ways. But even in the challenges, there's good. And even in the good, there's greater. And we don't know where the world is going. And if you're like me and you're awake, it can be paralyzing to be like, how the fuck do I be in this world when I know how the world is operating? It is absolutely insane. So I'm going to read this to you. So this is from, like I said, Joe Dispenza, the Supernatural book. It is part of a meditation you do. And you can end your meditation with this. You can begin your day with this. You can end your night with this or end your day. And it goes, I bless my body. I bless my life. I bless my soul. I bless my future. I bless my past. I bless my challenges. I bless the intelligence within that is giving me life. I give thanks to the new life before it has even been made manifested. So when I read that, I was like, okay, I have so many tools in my toolbox that I can use. And that is a beautiful reminder and process I can say. I can tap on it. But really blessing the creation of the new life, of the new body, of the new creations, of the new adventures, before they're even manifested. This is something that I was very much in 2018 to 2023, and I've just gotten out of it. And it's okay. And I have to also give myself so much grace to be like, I'm going through a process that's, interestingly enough, coming up to me with clients, because I've got clients that are like, my boyfriend wants me to let him support me more, and that like scares me. Like, I am asking to be seen more in my business, and that scares me. So this is a theme, and there's a reason why I'm going through this. It's like another layer. And if you watch the episode with Nicole Jones, we were talking about the journey of healing, and it's not that you have to like constantly be healing, but when things come up, it's your invitation to go deeper into your practice, to go deeper into your faith, to go deeper into your trust, to go deeper into your connection. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So really also shifting my brain around, because my nervous system, my brain went, oh, you haven't figured this out. Like, how dare you? How wrong of you? And I could hear the consciousness telling me, you're here to expand. This is your new level. We're deepening your practice. But my brain was so loud, such a fucking asshole. And it took me that, breakdown on that video at the beginning of August or July. It took me getting really honest and admitting that I'd fallen out of love with some things. And now we're processing that. We're going through that. And part of the process is actually dropping the balls. So there were a few weeks after I posted that video where I dropped all the balls. If I didn't feel aligned with it or I was getting in my head, we stopped. We dropped all of them. We put them all down. We looked at them. We just stared at the balls. We put them on the shelf. We just was like, you're going to be there until your energy charge of like frantic anxiety transforms. And it's interesting because I also had to see where that nervous system programming was to like do all the things. And I talked about this in the last episode. And I know that there's more there that I'm going to go through, but I'm not there yet to share all of that with you. What I will say is that what I also saw in this is I create my life the way that it works for me, and you will create your life the way that it works for you. And being in the online space, we are so conditioned to look at how other people are doing it because we just see what it looks like other people are doing. Doesn't necessarily we know what that means, but we're seeing it and we're trying to put the puzzle pieces together in the back end of our mind. And then it can create a lot of frantic energy in your field. So this also might mean that maybe I'll go back off Instagram in a few months here. I'm not quite sure. Because I definitely see that like I'm just being bombarded with how other people are doing it or how other people suggest I should be doing my life instead of looking first within. What actually makes my life work for me? And I said this in an Instagram post, like 3 things I learned about house sitting in the last 9 months. And one of the biggest things I have learned is like when you see someone else's life, it may not actually work for you. When you see someone like traveling around and living out of a suitcase and bouncing here and there, it may look really great. but it very much might not actually work for you, your energy, your desires, your dream focuses. And that is something that I am working through right now. Like, what does traveling look like for me? What does living abroad actually look like for me? Where is my home base actually wanting to be that I'm not saying for the next 20 years, but I can land? What do I want as far as like material things go? What are the qualities of my life that I actually want back in my life? Because when you start kind of looking at other people's life, it's a great way to gain inspiration. But there is this kind of tipping point when you start trying to live someone else's life and it doesn't really work. Needless to say, trying to suit your life into somebody else's home also is an interesting thing over the last 9 months. That's another story for another day. But dropping all the balls, really looking at the things and choosing to pick up one of them and see, like, do I actually have the energy capacity to hold putting energy into this? No. Okay, put it down. And it was very uncomfortable because I felt like I didn't like nothing for my business for like 3 weeks. I did some things, but I could even sense the franticness energy when I would pick up a task. And it was those moments where I was like, we're going for a walk. Like, we are going to chill with the dog. We are going to breathe for 5 minutes and get used to just saying no. Like I said this on my podcast the other day, where I was like, learning to say no more often will start to unravel the yeses and reveal the yeses. And part of that process also is realizing, again, I've gotten into the habit of like looking outside at other business owners and saying, oh, I should do that. And, oh, I should do this, instead of filtering it through first my awareness. So honesty with myself of like, okay, you've been building your life outside then inside instead of inside out. And what I came to realize is that I love, especially being a manifestor in human design, I love projects. I love injecting my energy into something, being with it, and then letting it go. And so what can that look like, having a facilitating coaching energy work business online? What can that look like, being geographically situated with a few people personally? What does that look like seasonally within the year? Do I want to be in person some months? Do I want to not be with people other months? What does that look like for travel? If I want to travel, then I don't actually want to have coaching clients during those months of travel because time zones are going to be different. I want to be able to just like submerge myself in the experience. So what is required in a additional business, within the business? What things actually light me up to go in and out of, inject and let it rest and breathe? And so really looking at like my year as much as I can, because this is one thing that I loved about being a dancer, is that I had seasons. I knew that like summertime, we were working on yourself. You were going to workshops. You were working at the restaurant, you were enjoying your life. And then fall came, you were like hunkering back down. You were getting the juices of what's the next creation. And then you were starting to go into creation mode. And then spring came and you were performing. And then you were like thinking about like the next season. And it was beautiful because I could go into training and really be focused, and I could go into creation and really be focused. And then I would have like the job that kind of like sustained, even though it was really hard on my body to be a full-time dancer and a server, as many of you will resonate. It's really hard on the body. But it was so wonderful. And I loved being in that identity of an artist and being so, there was like this, what do I say? I don't want to use a protective word. There was just this like understanding that if you were in the artist identity, you dabbled in so many things and it was great. As soon as I stepped into the, oh, I'm an energy facilitator, or I'm a practitioner, or I am this is my business, all of a sudden it was like all that freedom for some reason like left me. Like I adopted somebody's view of that, and it really has limited me over the last few years. And so getting back to my love affair of being in person when I want to be, being online when I want to be, having things that are outside of the coaching business that I can like dabble into. So call them a side hustle, call them a second business, call them whatever you want. I have 2 of those that I dabble in, and I'm really excited to see how those grow because I already know that they're growing themselves in their own way, and then I can grow that and really support my business or my life from a multiple angle, because it is something that I can go into and not necessarily be confined to like a time zone or a time to sit there, right? I can be a lot more flexible with that. And then when it comes to like being in person, like being hired out to people who own retreats to bring my in-person services, my access bars, my facelift, my stretch therapy, be a contribution to their spaces that they're creating, that lights me up. And there's like 2 different retreat seasons. There's like the tropical retreat season that like runs, I'd say like October to April. And then there's the northern retreats, which are like more Canada, the US, kind of like more of those northern countries that run the summer months, like when people are off school. So what would it look like to be hired out within the different retreat seasons, and where could I go? Like literally, where could I go in the world? Who could I connect to? And are retreats actually something that I would like to start to create because it has that in-person effect, because it has that curation, creativity, bring all the pieces together, something I really love to do, and then be really with it, and then allow myself to step back and relax. Like that is when I allow myself to go into something and then step back, that gives me so much breath, so much space. And then looking at my facilitation and coaching business, okay, if I want to be doing the more in-person stuff, that actually means that my energy capacity to hold more client space is not there. So really being honest with what that looks like client-wise, and also being okay that I don't have to be a 365 year-round online facilitator. Like I can bring clients in for a certain amount of time. That, just like writing that out, getting all the shitty thoughts around what that meant, who thought what about that, all these things that come up, just getting them out on paper has been a really interesting process and very liberating process. And I know I still have more, because in that I already see that I get a little frantic. I get a little like, oh, that's a lot of things, because my brain thinks it's still all happening all at once. And so what I've started to do is like section it off. And I've got a very interesting creative task that I want to try out. I just wanted to get situated in Puerto Vallarta and kind of like find my base where I could like put things on the wall or, create a board on something. But I have this idea of organization for my thoughts and my projects. Something I used to do in the dance world, but maybe I'm like a little bit more integrated. So when that comes, I like sidetracked there. I'll share that with you because I think it's going to be very helpful to like visually see, because I'm such a visual person, visually see this is what we're working on right now. And then this is what we're doing like 2 or 3 months from now. And that visual, like if you're a visual person and you're traveling, it's really hard to keep your visual aspects and like that grounding space grounded, because not every home you go into, there's a wall available. It's extra things to travel with. I thought about a really good way to do it is like travel with cork boards and then like have all these things pinned. And then I'm like, that's like added weight. So you could travel with like your, what I would call them like the themes or like the tasks. Maybe they're magnetic and you can put them on fridges, but not every fridge is magnetic on the outside. So the visual aspect that grounded me for so many years since moving to Mexico has been something that I've lost. And I was reminded of that process doing all this journaling. So just little like side note here, if you are resonating with like this process, you've been in it before, you're going through it right now, I do invite you to come to a session with me. Even though I'm going through it, this is what I do with my clients. I help you tap into those emotions, that are yours and also ancestral, and the programming that are playing that subconscious limiting role for your body in your life. I do this work on myself personally. It's been so interesting and such a blessing to have women right now that I'm working with that are navigating what this looks like for them as well, and us tapping into what was going on when they were kids and how they formed the belief that's running in the background, and really reworking that, changing the energy behind it, and then how they're processing building it into something different, like having a conversation with their partner, or writing out and holding that space for all of it to come out, to be seen and to be released, is what I do with women. And it blows my mind every time where we go into the next level, or we find that conditioning that really wasn't theirs, and it unlocks their capacity to breathe deeper, to connect deeper, and to step into that next version of them that can receive, that support and that being seen, and everything at the end of the day is receiving. So being able to soften into just mass amounts of receiving from all different areas of life, not just financially, but from their partners, from their family, from their coworkers, from their clients. It's when you open up your capacity to soften into that, your life gets greater and more fuller and more abundant in all ways. So definitely drop in the comments Unleashed, and I will direct you to a link that you can go book a session, or everything's in the show notes below. So I just wanted to make sure I got that in. This is the work that I love doing when I'm doing my online coaching. When I'm doing it in person, it's a different kind of process. But yeah, definitely reach out if you feel called to explore, especially the ancestral stuff. You don't have to know what great-great-grandmother was doing, but the energy your ancestors are having do get embedded into the energy of you, and because it just keeps getting passed on. So you have the ability now and the gift now to really make some beautiful changes and start to break those programming, start to release that energetic hold from your entire lineage. I did one session recently that absolutely blew my mind. We got to a very specific time frame in her family that's tied to a lot of grief in America. And when I was bringing up these emotions and these very specific times, she referred it back to her mom, and it everything was tracking. And she's like, I've been holding on to this for that long. I'm like, yes. And now it's time to let it go. So it was really cool to just see how accurate these sessions can get. So feel free to reach out. Last thing I want to talk about, no matter how many times you have to pivot or change or readjust, go for it. Do it. One thing I've really had to look at is this idea that I bought, that I have been returning to sender for weeks now, is that if I don't follow through with something, then I'm not a good person. For some reason, that follow through action means more to so many people. And I actually don't think it actually does. I think it's something we've been taught and we've bought and applied and sold as ours, when in reality, it actually doesn't serve or work or align with the majority of people out there. However, we think it does. So this idea that if you don't follow through with something, if you don't stick to one thing, if you don't finish or complete, then you're somehow a quitter. And when it comes to running a business, building your dream, going after something, you are going to stop and start so many times. You are going to pivot. You are going to try something and be like, that is definitely not what I wanted to do. Or you're going to try something and you're like, I don't know how to get past this phase. So you're going to do something else, and then you're going to come back to it, or you're going to do something else and it's going to launch you forward. It is not a wrongness. It is not a wrongness. I have to say this to you as much as I have to say it to myself. It is not a wrongness to pivot, to start and stop, to try something else, to switch it up. You are allowed to have multiple things. This is what I love about Charlotte Priest's copywriting work, is that she really asks you for your personal brand to be a lot broader, and then your offers to be this specifics or the niche, but your personal brand, you are so much more than just one thing. And so you need to expand that. And for all the creatives that are listening to this, you are creative. And so it is just natural for us to dabble in a few things. It doesn't mean that your choices are wrong. And so I've really had to sit with this one. It is something I'm sitting with. Like everything I've said today, I am still sitting with. I'm still working through. I just mentioned Charlotte. I'm taking her copy program right now. It's like this little intimate container to get back to connecting with my message, because I've gotten all combobulated working with different people, trying to make it, fourth grade language, which I get, but also if it's not coming from my heart, I have a really hard time speaking about it. So I'm working with her, and then I'm going into Jessica's rewritten story 6-week container to really get comfortable and really let my inner thoughts even more so be seen and supported by a group of women. If you're interested in even bringing that into your life, I encourage you. I'll drop their social handles in the comments, so definitely go check them out. Because sometimes, even if you don't have a business, just connecting with your story, with the message you want to put out in the world, with the life that you're creating, sometimes being in containers that encourage you to look at that and then share it to be seen is going to be and give you such powerful shifts. You don't need to have a business necessarily, especially with Jessica stuff. You don't need to have a business to connect with your story, to move forward and rewrite and create something that, like I said at the beginning of this video, you're in love with again. Because it's okay that you fall out of love with your life, perhaps, especially in the last 5 years. A lot has been going on. And if you're someone like me who just can't turn off the awareness, it can get a little, I don't want to use the word crippling, but it's the only word that comes to my mind, but you can freeze up and you can start to question, what's the fucking point? But the point is that we are here, we are creating, we get to live through this life, we get to live through this body. My massive ask for the world is to have more joy living this life through this body. And the fact that I got off loving that is hard, but I know that I'm getting back into it, and I'm going to find something even more joyful to fall in love with again. And I'm going to fall in love with things that I kind of got frustrated with over the last couple months. And how exciting is that to come back into love with you, the people around you, the places you've been, the conversations that you've had. And like Joe Dispenza mentions in his book, like blessing the life that's being created before it gets fully manifested, and blessing your challenges and blessing your life and blessing your soul and blessing those around you and blessing your body and all the things, blessing your business and your clients and your creations, and allowing it to lead me again. I'm excited now that I have seen some honest truths of myself. It's only up from here, and we're only going to get through it with grace, love, and a lot of laughter and some joy, hopefully. Quite a few tears, but they're all in acknowledging that it's all working out for me. And so getting back to that, like, how does this actually get fucking better? Like, universe, show me. So I hope that episode was enjoyable for you as much as it was to share it, to update you guys. If you have any questions about releasing emotions, whether they're yours or your ancestors, this is what I do. So check out my availability in the show notes below, or drop the word unleashed and I'll make sure you get a direct link to connect. Okay, until the next episode. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so grateful I get to do life and conversation like this together. If today landed for you, I would love to hear what your takeaways were. Hop over to Instagram and hit me up in the DMs, or leave a comment below. I love reading all of them. And if you haven't already done so, pay it forward by subscribing, leaving a review, or sharing this with someone that you love. These actions directly impact the show, and they help us reach a new audience, so I am very grateful in advance. And And if you want to explore working together or dive deeper into this work, you can check out in the show notes all my current offers and ways to connect. Until next time, everybody, have a magical and fantastic day.